"No one marries my race, but I can bear children," she said. The human veteran's reply shocked her. The air smelled different here, a sharp mix of metal and something sweet, like flowers he had never smelled before. The sky was a strange shade of green, fading to gold at the horizon. He adjusted his jacket, scanning the area. The colony looked quiet, almost too quiet for a place with so many people. Eric had been on many missions before, but this one was different. He was here not to fight, not to lead soldiers, not even to explore. This time he was a guest, a human among aliens. The Virelians had asked for help with something, though they did not explain much. Eric knew enough to expect that things would not be simple. As he walked toward the main settlement, small figures appeared in the distance. Their movements were graceful, almost floating above the ground. Virelians were taller than humans, their skin a soft lilac color, and their eyes large and reflective like glass. Many of them had patterns on their faces, swirls and lines that told stories to those who could read them. Eric had read about them in reports, but seeing them in real life made him feel a little nervous. A woman stepped forward from the group. She was smaller than the others, delicate in build, and she moved with care as if she was unsure of her own place in the world. Her eyes were a deep violet, and when she looked at Eric, it was as if she was trying to read his mind. Eric gave her a small nod. "I am Eric Dawson," he said simply. "I came to help." The woman hesitated for a moment, then she bowed slightly. "I am Lyra," she said. Her voice was soft, almost musical. I was told to meet you." Eric studied her face. She seemed tense, but there was also something in her eyes, a quiet sadness like she carried a heavy weight that no one could see. He decided not to press. Some things took time to reveal themselves. They walked together into the settlement. Buildings were tall and smooth, made of a stone-like material that shimmered in the sunlight. People moved in patterns, some carrying supplies, others talking in low voices. Eric noticed how different everything was. Humans built straight lines, precise angles, walls, and windows everywhere. Here, the structures flowed, curves and arcs, gentle slopes that seemed to grow naturally from the ground. Lyra led him to a small courtyard where several Virelians had gathered. Their expressions were polite but cautious. Eric understood. Humans were rare here, and not all Virelians liked strangers. Lyra seemed to notice their stares and gave a small sigh. "They are curious," she said, "and afraid." Eric nodded. "I don't blame them," he said. "I would be curious, too, if someone from another world appeared on my doorstep." Lyra's lips curved into a small smile. It was the first sign of warmth he had seen from her. They continued walking until they reached a building that looked smaller than the others. The door opened before they could knock, and a Virelian elder greeted them. He was tall and thin, with a long pattern running from his forehead down his neck. His eyes were silver, bright and sharp. "Eric Dawson," the elder said in a deep voice. "We are glad you are here. Our colony, we face difficulties, and your kind, your people, have skills we need." Eric bowed slightly. "I will do what I can." The elder nodded and stepped aside, allowing them to enter. Inside, the room was quiet and dimly lit, with soft light reflecting off the walls. Lyra took a step closer to Eric. "It is safer if I speak with you alone for a moment," she whispered. Eric followed her down a narrow corridor. The walls were smooth, warm to the touch. Lyra led him to a small room at the back. Inside, a few personal items were scattered around, plants in delicate pots, a chair carved with flowing patterns, and a small table. She gestured for him to sit. I need to tell you something," Lyra said, her hands twisting nervously in front of her. "It is difficult for me. My people, they do not accept me the way I am." Eric leaned forward slightly. "Go on," he said softly. "I'm listening." Lyra took a deep breath. "No one marries my race," she said. "I am different, and yet I can bear children. Many think it is strange, some fear me. Others, they ignore me." Her voice cracked slightly, and Eric could see the hurt behind her words. He stayed quiet for a moment, letting her speak without interruption. Then he said gently, "It sounds like you have been carrying this alone for a long time." She nodded. "Yes, longer than I can count. And now, even when I try to find someone to care for me, to marry me, they refuse. They say my differences are dangerous, unnatural." Eric studied her face. She was beautiful, yes, but it was more than that. There was courage there, hidden beneath layers of doubt and fear. He understood that feeling all too well. He had been judged many times in his life, often by people who had no idea what he was capable of. "Lyra," he said carefully, "I am not here to judge you." I am here to help and to listen. That is all I can promise right now. Her violet eyes widened slightly, and she seemed surprised. You do not think I am strange? Eric smiled faintly. Humans are not so quick to judge, he said. We have our faults, sure, but we also see people for who they are. That is what matters. She looked at him for a long moment, as if trying to decide whether she could trust him. Finally, she spoke again. I feel alone, she admitted. Even my friends, they do not understand. They think I am cursed or that my future is already set. They do not see me. They only see what is different. Eric nodded. I understand what it is like to be different, he said quietly. I have lived among people who thought they were better than me, stronger than me. But it does not mean they are right. It only means you have to find those who see the truth. She blinked, a tear slipping down her cheek. Do you think someone like me could ever be happy? Eric paused. I don't know, he admitted honestly. Happiness is tricky. It depends on what you want and who you trust. But I do know this. Your value is not defined by what others think. It is defined by what you do and who you are. Lyra looked at him, her eyes wide and shining with a mix of hope and disbelief. For the first time in many cycles of her life, she felt someone truly saw her, not as a problem or a curse, but as a person. They spent the rest of the day walking through the colony together. Eric observed the Virelians as they moved about their daily tasks, and he noticed how carefully they avoided conflict, how politely they interacted, and how rigid their social rules were. Lyra explained some of it to him quietly as they walked. My people, she said, we have rules about who can marry, who can bear children, who can lead. They say it keeps order, but sometimes I feel it keeps fear. Eric nodded thoughtfully. Humans have rules too, he said, but the rules are not always right. And sometimes the strongest people are the ones who challenge them. Lyra looked at him, studying his face. You really do not care about the rules? She asked. I care about truth, Eric replied, and about helping where I can. Rules are important only if they help people, not if they hurt them. For a moment, silence hung between them, not awkward but full of understanding. Lyra felt a warmth in her chest, a feeling she had not felt in years. She realized that humans were different. Not just in appearance or in strength, but in heart. As the sun began to sink behind the green-gold horizon, Eric and Lyra returned to the small building where they had started the day. Lyra turned to him, hesitating. Thank you, she said softly, for listening. For not judging me. Eric shrugged lightly. Anyone would, he said, but not everyone has the courage to see the truth. She smiled faintly, a mixture of gratitude and something else she could not name. For the first time, she felt a small spark of hope. Maybe, just maybe, there was someone out there who could see her as she truly was, not as a Virelian outcast, but as Lyra, a person with dreams and desires and the right to be happy. Eric looked at the horizon, feeling the alien wind on his face. He had no idea what challenges awaited him here, no idea how deeply he would become involved in Lyra's world. But one thing was clear. He had met someone who was brave in ways humans could rarely understand. And he felt curious to see how her story would unfold. Lyra watched him quietly, her heart beating faster than it should. She had shared something no one else had heard, and he had not recoiled. She did not know what tomorrow would bring, but for the first time, she dared to believe that perhaps her life could be different. The sky turned a deeper shade of gold, and the first stars appeared. The colony hummed quietly around them, unaware of the small, fragile connection forming between human and Virelian. Outside, the wind carried the scent of alien plants and distant oceans, and Eric Dawson and Lyra stood side by side, two strangers from different worlds, each feeling that perhaps this meeting was not just chance. It might be the beginning of something neither of them could yet understand. The next morning, Eric woke to a soft light filtering through the curved walls of his room. The air smelled faintly of flowers and something earthy. He stretched and looked around. The building was quiet, the hum of the colony just starting as the Virelians began their day. He had slept well, though he could not ignore the strange feeling in his chest, a mixture of curiosity and unease. Lyra knocked softly on the door. Eric, are you awake? Yes, he said, his voice still rough from sleep. Come in. She entered, carrying a small tray of food. The smell made his stomach growl. I thought you might like breakfast before we meet the others, she said, placing the tray on the low table. It is simple, Eric smiled. Simple is fine. He sat down and began eating, noticing how carefully Lyra watched him. You're worried I won't like it? He asked. She shook her head. No, I want you to be comfortable. Eric laughed softly. You've done enough already, don't worry. They ate in silence for a few minutes, the quiet, comfortable. Outside, the colony was coming alive. Violins moved in elegant patterns, some carrying water, others tending small gardens that grew in neat spirals. Eric watched, fascinated. He had been to many worlds, seen many species, but the Violins were different. There was a grace in everything they did, but also a stiffness, as if they were afraid of making a mistake. Lyra finally spoke. I want to show you more of the colony, she said. I want you to see life here, not just the buildings, but the people. Eric nodded. Lead the way. They stepped outside, and Lyra guided him down winding paths. The streets were smooth, almost glowing under the green-gold sunlight. Eric noticed children playing near a fountain. They were small, their skin lighter shades of violet, their laughter high and clear. It was strange to hear laughter in a place so controlled, so orderly. Children are free to play for only a short time each day, Lyra explained. Their elders watch carefully. Discipline is very important here. Eric frowned slightly. Discipline is important everywhere, he said, but freedom matters too, otherwise people forget how to think for themselves. Lyra glanced at him, her eyes curious. Do humans allow their children complete freedom? Not complete, Eric admitted, but we allow choices. Even small ones. We believe it helps them grow stronger, smarter, braver. She nodded slowly, as if considering his words. They continued walking until they reached a market. The market was quiet, not like any market Eric had seen. Stalls were neat, clean, and organized. Food was colorful, glowing faintly with bioluminescent colors. The Violins moved among the stalls, their voices low, polite. Eric wandered through the market, amazed. The fruit looked almost unreal, like jewels. The spices smelled sharp and sweet at the same time. Lyra followed him, smiling softly at his curiosity. Do you like it? She asked. I do, he said. It's alive in a way, everything has purpose, but it is also beautiful. Your people are skilled. She laughed softly, a light sound that made Eric look at her. We try to be. But it is not always enough. Eric tilted his head. Not enough. People judge each other harshly, she said quietly, especially those who are different. She glanced at him, her violet eyes searching. Like me. Eric stopped and looked at her. Lyra, you are not like anyone else. Or you mean people think you are a problem because of your abilities? She nodded. Yes, both. I can bear children, but no one wants to marry me. They say I am strange, dangerous, unpredictable. Even my own family, some avoid me. Eric considered this. I have seen humans judge people for being different too, he said slowly. It happens everywhere, but being different does not make you wrong. It makes you unique. She looked at him, a small flicker of hope in her eyes. You really believe that? I do, he said simply. I have fought in wars, met people from every corner of the galaxy. Those who are strong, those who survive, they are not the same as everyone else. They are better because they are different, because they face challenges others cannot. Lyra listened carefully, absorbing every word. She had never heard anything like this before. Her life had been full of rules, fear, and whispers. And here was a human, a stranger, telling her that being different could be a strength. They moved on to a larger square where Violins gathered for discussions and announcements. A council member spoke to the group, and Eric watched closely. Lyra explained quietly, Our people respect order. Our rules are strict, but they are meant to keep peace. Sometimes it feels like fear keeps order more than care. Eric nodded. Fear can control people, he said, but it can also be broken. Courage breaks fear. She glanced at him. Courage, you mean humans are brave? Eric shrugged. Some are not. Bravery is not about not feeling fear. It is about acting even when you are afraid. Lyra thought about that. She had felt fear her whole life, fear of rejection, fear of being alone, fear of being judged. And yet here was someone who said it could be faced, even overcome. They walked toward a training area where young Violins practiced combat techniques. Eric observed silently. Their movements were precise, controlled, almost elegant, but there was no spontaneity. Every strike was measured, every step calculated. They train to follow rules, Lyra said softly. Their strength comes from control, not freedom. Eric nodded. Humans often train differently. We learn rules, yes, but we also learn to improvise, to trust our instincts. Sometimes rules can help, but sometimes they hold people back. She looked at him, a faint smile appearing. You think humans are stronger because we are rigid? I think humans are stronger because we take risks, he said. We make mistakes, learn, and keep going. Strength comes from trying, not just following. They walked in silence for a while, each lost in thought. Lyra felt a strange warmth. She had never had anyone speak to her like this, with honesty, without fear, without judgment. Eric had a calm presence, a quiet strength that made her feel safe, even in a world that had always made her feel small. Eventually, they returned to the small building where Lyra lived. Eric was tired, but his mind was full of new impressions. He had seen a world so different from Earth, and yet he felt a connection, through Lyra, through her courage, through the way humans and Violians could see life in different ways. Lyra offered him a drink, a glowing liquid that smelled faintly of fruit and spice. He sipped it cautiously, then nodded approvingly. "Good," he said. "I like it." She smiled, a little more easily this time. "I am glad. Most humans would not try it. They do not trust our ways." Eric shrugged. "I like to try." "You cannot understand a world if you refuse to taste it." Lyra laughed softly, a sound that filled the room with warmth. For the first time, she felt she could speak freely without hiding. She told him about her life, her family, the pressures of her society. She told him about being shunned, about the loneliness she felt, about the fear of never being accepted. Eric listened carefully, never interrupting. When she finished, he said, "I see why you feel alone, but you are not alone now." She looked at him, unsure. "Do you really mean that?" "I do," he said. "I am here, I am listening. That is all that matters right now." The afternoon faded, and the light outside turned softer, warmer. Lyra watched the sun touch the horizon, feeling a quiet hope she had not felt in years. Eric was human, from a world far away, yet he understood something her people never could. That being different did not mean being weak. As the first stars appeared in the sky, Lyra realized that life could be different. She could be herself without fear of judgment, at least with Eric. And perhaps one day others could see the truth too. Eric, standing beside her, felt the same strange connection. He had come to this planet expecting to help with a mission, to do his duty. But he had found something more. A person who was brave in ways he had never imagined, a person who could teach him about courage, about hope, about the strength that came from being oneself. Together, they watched the stars. Two strangers from different worlds, beginning a journey neither fully understood. But one thing was clear: their meeting was no accident. Something important had begun here, under an alien sky, in a quiet colony far from Earth. Something that could change not only their lives, but perhaps the lives of many others in this strange, distant world. The next day, Eric woke to a soft light again, though the sky had turned a pale green with hints of orange. The air was cool and fresh, carrying the faint scent of plants and soil. He stretched and rubbed his eyes. Today, he knew, would be different. Lyra had invited him to join her in helping the colony in ways he did not yet understand. When he stepped outside, Lyra was waiting for him. Her violet eyes were bright, and she seemed more confident than the day before. "Good morning, Eric," she said. "Are you ready?" "I think so," he replied with a smile. "Where are we going first?" She looked around, then pointed toward a large building at the edge of the settlement. "This is where we keep supplies for the colony. Some of the paths are blocked after last week's storms. I thought we could help clear them." Eric nodded. "Lead the way." They walked through the colony together. As they moved, Eric noticed more of the Violians. Some nodded politely, some avoided looking at him. Lyra noticed it too and whispered, "They are not used to humans. Some are curious, some are afraid." "I don't mind," Eric said. "I have faced worse." They arrived at the storage area. It was a large, open space filled with crates of food, tools, and equipment. Some crates had toppled over, and several paths through the colony were blocked with debris. Eric looked around. "Looks like we have a lot to do," he said. Lyra nodded. "Yes, some of this has been waiting for weeks. The elders want it cleared, but they do not trust me to lead the work. I thought maybe, with your help, I could show them I can handle it." Eric looked at her, impressed. "You want to show them what you can do?" "Yes," she said. "I want them to see that I am not weak, that I can help." Eric smiled. "Then let's get started." They began moving crates together. Eric lifted a heavy one with ease, showing Lyra how to balance it. She tried, and though she struggled at first, he guided her patiently. They laughed when a crate slipped and spilled some small tools onto the ground. "Careful," he said, smiling. "It's not a race." "Humans always make things seem so easy," she said, shaking her head. Eric laughed. "We practice, but mistakes are normal too. It's how you learn." As they worked, other Violians began to notice. Some watched quietly from a distance, whispering to each other. Others came closer, curious about the human helping the young woman they often overlooked. Eric could feel their eyes on him, judging, but he did not let it bother him. After hours of hard work, the crates were sorted, and the paths cleared. Lyra looked around, her chest rising and falling with pride. "We did it," she said softly. Eric nodded. "Yes, we did, and you led well. I did not do it for you, I helped, but you organized, you made decisions. That is what matters." Her eyes widened. You think I did a good job?" "I do," he said simply. "More than good, you were strong, smart, and patient. That is what leadership is." She smiled, a real smile this time. "Thank you, Eric, that means a lot." They rested for a moment, sitting on a low wall. The sun was high now, and the colony was busy with activity. Eric noticed children playing nearby, carefully supervised by elders. He could see the discipline in every movement, the control in every step. It was impressive, but also strict. "You must miss Earth sometimes," Lyra said suddenly, as if reading his thoughts. Eric nodded slowly. "I do, but I also see new things here, things I never imagined, and I like seeing your world through your eyes." Lyra looked at him curiously. "Through my eyes?" "Yes," he said. "I have seen many places, many people, but seeing your world with you, it feels different, real." She blushed slightly and looked away. I am glad." They worked together through the afternoon. Eric noticed how much the Virelians relied on order and rules. Even in small tasks, every action had a pattern, every movement was planned. Lyra, however, sometimes moved differently, adding small changes that made the work faster or easier. Eric noticed it immediately. "You have a different way of thinking," he said quietly. "It is good. It makes things better." Lyra looked at him, surprised. You think my way is good?" "I do," Eric said. "Sometimes rules help, but creativity changes everything." For the first time, Lyra felt proud not just of her work, but of herself. Someone recognized her skill, her intelligence, her courage. It was a feeling she had not known in years. As the sun began to set, Eric and Lyra walked through the cleared paths. The colony looked different now, open and bright. People moved with ease, and the air felt lighter. Lyra stopped and looked at Eric. I think they noticed," she said softly. "I think they did," Eric said. "Some may not admit it, but they did. You made a difference today." She smiled faintly. "I never thought I could. I always felt small, weak." "You are not," Eric said firmly. "Never think that. Strength is not about size or status. It is about courage, effort, and heart. You have all of that." They walked in silence for a while. Eric could see the change in Lyra. She was standing taller, her steps lighter. For the first time, she believed she could do something important, something meaningful. That night, they gathered in a small hall with other Virelians. Eric noticed the looks of surprise when Lyra spoke confidently about the work they had done. Her voice, calm and clear, carried authority she had never shown before. People listened, some nodding quietly, others whispering to each other. Eric watched with quiet pride. Lyra was showing them that being different did not mean being weak. That talent, courage, and determination mattered more than tradition or fear. After the meeting, Lyra and Eric walked back to her home. The night was calm, stars glowing softly above. Lyra looked at the sky, then at him. I feel different tonight," she admitted. Eric looked at her. "Different how?" "Stronger," she said. "Braver. I think I can do more than I believed." "You can," he said. "I see it, and others see it too, even if they do not say it." She smiled faintly, a mixture of gratitude and something more she could not name. "Thank you, Eric, for believing in me," he shrugged lightly. "I don't do it for thanks. I do it because it is right, because people like you deserve a chance." She looked at him closely, and for a moment the world around them seemed to disappear. Stars above, soft wind, quiet streets. They were alone, yet not alone. A strange connection was forming, something neither of them fully understood. Over the next few days, Eric continued helping the colony. He worked with Lyra, showing her ways to improve efficiency, to organize groups of Virelians, and to solve problems quickly. Each day, Lyra grew more confident. Each day, she challenged herself and her society's expectations. The other Virelians began to notice. Some were skeptical, whispering about the human influence. Others were quietly impressed. They saw Lyra taking charge, solving problems, and speaking with a clarity they had rarely seen. Slowly, respect began to grow, though fear and tradition still lingered. One afternoon, while they were organizing supplies near the outer fields, a sudden storm blew in. The wind was strong, carrying dust and small debris. Lyra froze, unsure what to do. Eric grabbed her arm. "We need to move quickly," he shouted over the wind. "Follow me." They ran toward the nearest building, helping others along the way. Lyra's heart raced, but she followed Eric's lead. She realized that she trusted him completely, that in dangerous moments, his calmness and courage gave her strength. After the storm passed, they helped repair damaged areas. Lyra noticed the smiles of people around her, the quiet respect in their eyes. She turned to Eric. I never thought I could do this. I never thought anyone would see me this way. Eric smiled. You did it, you led. You helped. That is how people see strength, not in words, but in actions. Lyra looked at him, her violet eyes shining. She felt a warmth she had never known. For the first time, she believed that her life could be different. That she could be respected, that she could make a difference, and that perhaps she could find someone who saw her for who she really was. Eric noticed the change in her. Each day, she grew braver, stronger, and more confident. He felt proud not just as a human visitor, but as someone who had seen courage and hope in action. As night fell again, Lyra and Eric stood together outside her home, watching the stars. She spoke softly. I feel like I am beginning to understand myself. Eric nodded. You are, and this is only the beginning. Lyra looked at him, her heart full of questions and hope. The bond between them had grown, and with it, the possibility of a life different from what she had always known. A life with courage, freedom, and perhaps, love. The colony slept quietly around them, unaware of the small changes taking place. Two strangers from different worlds were building something new: trust, respect, and understanding. And in that quiet night, Lyra knew that she would never be the same again. The next morning, Lyra woke early. The light was soft and golden, spilling across the smooth walls of her room. She felt a nervous flutter in her chest. Today, she had decided to tell Eric something important, something she had never said to anyone. Eric was already outside, waiting near the small garden she had cultivated. When he saw her, he smiled. Good morning, he said. You look ready for the day. Lyra hesitated. I am ready, yes, but I need to talk to you, alone if possible. Of course, Eric said, nodding. Let's walk. They moved through the quiet streets of the colony. The sun was higher now, and the air smelled faintly of flowers and warm soil. They found a small hill overlooking part of the settlement. It was peaceful there, with only a few violins in the distance. Lyra took a deep breath, her hands twisting nervously. Eric, she began, there is something I must tell you, something I have never told anyone. He looked at her calmly. Go ahead, Lyra, you can tell me anything. Her violet eyes filled with uncertainty. I am not like the others. My people, they refuse to marry me. They say I am different, strange, unfit, and yet I can bear children. That is something most of my race cannot do, and still no one wants me. Eric listened quietly, his expression calm but attentive. Lyra's words tumbled out, faster now, a mix of fear and hope. I have always been alone, Eric. I have tried to follow the rules to please others, to fit in, but nothing works. I am rejected. I am cursed, some say, and I do not know what to do anymore. She stopped, afraid she had said too much. The wind moved softly through the hilltop grass, and for a moment silence surrounded them. Eric did not speak. He simply looked at her, his eyes steady, unflinching. Finally he said, Lyra, I hear you. I understand more than you think. Her eyes widened. You understand. I do, he said simply. You are not weak, you are not cursed, you are a person, a brave, strong, intelligent person, and what others say, it does not matter. Only what you do, only who you are matters. Lyra shook her head, tears forming. But what about love, marriage? Children, my people, they will never accept me. I am alone, Eric, completely alone. Eric stepped closer. You are not alone, Lyra, not anymore. I am here, I see you. And I care about you, not because of your abilities, not because of rules or traditions, but because of who you are. The real you? Lyra felt her heart race. She had never heard words like this before. No one had ever said she was seen for herself, not her race, not her abilities, not her family, just herself. I don't know what to say, she whispered, her voice trembling. I never thought anyone could feel this way about me. Eric smiled gently. You don't need to say anything. I am not asking for anything. I am telling you the truth. You are valuable, worthy, and strong. Nothing your people say can change that. And as for marriage or children, that is for you to decide, not them, not anyone else. She stared at him, shocked, her mind trying to process his words. Are you serious? I am, he said firmly. I do not care about rules or what is normal. I care about people, about honesty, about courage, and you have all three. Lyra felt tears spill down her cheeks. She had never imagined a human could speak so freely, so honestly. Her hands shook, but she reached out, touching his arm. I cannot believe you say this. I have waited so long to hear someone mean it. Eric placed his hand gently over hers. I mean it, Lyra. I do not see your race. I do not see what others fear. I see you. That is all that matters to me. For a long moment, silence stretched between them. The wind whispered through the grass, the distant sounds of the colony fading into the quiet. Lyra felt a warmth she had never known, a courage growing inside her chest. You are not afraid?" she asked softly. Eric shook his head. Afraid? No, I know it will not be easy. Your people have rules, traditions, fears. But I also know this. Courage, honesty, and heart are stronger than fear, and I see all of that in you. She could hardly speak. The weight of her life's loneliness, her fears, her rejection, all of it seemed to lift slightly. She looked at him, her violet eyes shining with a mixture of relief, hope, and wonder. I never thought I would hear words like that, she said softly. Not from anyone, and yet you say them as if they are true. They are true, he said simply. I am not lying. I do not lie about what I see or what I believe. You are remarkable, Lyra, and I respect and care for you. That is all you need to know. She blinked, struggling to hold back her tears. You really mean that? I do, he said. I have seen enough of the universe to know when someone is truly strong, and you, Lyra, are strong in ways most people will never understand. Her chest swelled with emotions she could not name. Relief, hope, pride, and something else, something deeper, something like trust. She had lived her whole life believing she was alone, and now a human had shattered that belief. She could not understand why or how, but it felt real. I do not know how to thank you, she whispered. You do not need to, Eric said. Just live. Show the world who you really are, and remember you are never alone again. She nodded, her hands shaking, tears streaming freely. I will try, I will believe. Eric smiled gently. That is enough, one step at a time. Courage is not about never being afraid. It is about acting even when you are afraid, and today you are already acting. They stood together on the hill, looking out over the colony. Lyra felt the wind on her face, carrying away fear and doubt. She felt lighter than she had in years. She had spoken her truth, and it had not been met with judgment, only understanding. Eric noticed the change in her. Each day, she grew braver, more confident, more certain of herself. Her fears, though not gone, no longer controlled her. She had taken the first step toward freedom, toward self-respect, toward a life she could shape for herself. You have done more than you know today, Eric said quietly. You have begun to change things, not just for yourself, but for everyone who watches you. Lyra looked at him, her violet eyes filled with gratitude. I will try. I will not fail. I want to be worthy of your words, Eric. You already are, he said simply. You always were. You just needed someone to see it. For the first time, Lyra felt truly understood. She had spent her life hiding her pain, hiding her abilities, hiding her heart. But now, with Eric, she felt seen, whole, strong. Thank you, she whispered again, for everything. Eric nodded. I will always be here, not because I have to, but because I choose to. The sun began to set, casting a warm, golden light over the colony. The streets were quiet, the Virelians slowly returning to their homes. Lyra and Eric remained on the hill, side by side, two beings from different worlds who had found understanding and trust in each other. For Lyra, it was the beginning of a new life, a life where she could be brave, strong, and herself. For Eric, it was a reminder that courage and heart existed everywhere, even in places far from home. Together, they watched the stars appear, one by one, over the quiet colony. And in that stillness, in that shared understanding, Lyra felt hope. A hope she had never known, a hope that perhaps finally she could belong, be loved, and be free. For the first time, she dared to dream. And for the first time, she knew that dreams, when met with courage and honesty, could become reality. The following morning, Lyra woke feeling lighter than she had in years. The sunlight spilled across her room, painting the walls with soft gold. She thought about what she had said to Eric the night before and how he had responded. His words still echoed in her mind. I see you. That is all that matters. She could hardly believe that someone from another world could see her for who she truly was, without fear or judgment. When she stepped outside, Eric was already waiting. He smiled when he saw her. Good morning, Lyra, he said. You look ready to face the day. I feel ready, she replied softly. Today I want to do more. I want to help the colony even further, to show others that being different is not wrong. Eric nodded. I like that. Let's start. They walked together to the main square of the colony. The streets were already bustling, with Virelians beginning their daily tasks. Children ran past carefully, elders spoke quietly, and workers moved in the usual precise patterns. But something had changed. Eric could feel it. The small acts of courage Lyra had shown over the past days had begun to ripple through the community. "Watch," Lyra whispered. "People notice when you act differently. Even when they do not say it, they see it." Eric nodded. "I can see it. You are making a difference already." They began organizing another work group. Today, their task was to repair the irrigation systems that supplied water to the colony's plants. The channels were broken in several places, and the work required careful planning and coordination. Lyra took the lead, giving clear instructions and helping each worker understand what needed to be done. Eric worked alongside her, lifting heavy tools, showing her techniques that humans used to solve problems quickly. The Violians watched in silence at first, then gradually began to imitate the ways Lyra and Eric moved. Some still whispered, but their whispers were now mixed with curiosity and even admiration. By midday, the first sections of the irrigation system were repaired. Lyra's confidence grew with each success. She noticed workers glancing at her with new respect. She realized that her actions mattered more than words. She could lead, she could help, and she could be valued. Eric noticed the change in her as well. She moved with a natural authority now, no longer tentative or unsure. Her violet eyes shone with determination and courage. For the first time, she truly believed in herself. After the work was done, they rested near a fountain in the central square. The water sparkled in the sunlight and the air was warm and calm. Lyra looked at Eric, her heart full of gratitude. "I never thought I could do this," she said softly. "I never thought I could lead or make people listen to me, and yet here I am." Eric smiled. "You did this, Lyra. I only helped a little. The rest was you, your courage, your determination, your heart. That is what makes people follow you." She shook her head, laughing softly. "I still cannot believe it, and you have been here supporting me every step of the way. You make it feel possible." Eric looked at her. "That is what friends, or maybe more than friends, do. They help each other. They see the good in one another and encourage it. You have shown me something too, Lyra. You have reminded me that courage and heart are everywhere, even in places far from home." Lyra's eyes widened slightly, and she felt a warmth in her chest she could not name. For a moment, silence settled between them, comfortable and full of meaning. As the day passed, the colony continued to notice Lyra's influence. She organized groups, solved problems, and spoke with a confidence that even the elders could not ignore. Slowly, respect began to replace fear. People started to listen, to follow her guidance, and even to ask for her advice. It was a change Lyra had never expected, yet it felt right, natural, and empowering. That evening, after the work was complete, Eric and Lyra walked to a quiet hill overlooking the colony. The sky was painted with the colors of sunset, soft oranges and greens blending together. The wind was gentle, carrying the faint scent of flowers and earth. "I cannot believe how much has changed in just a few days," Lyra said softly. "It feels like a dream." "It is real," Eric said. "You made it happen, not me. You showed people that rules are not always right, that courage and heart matter more. You changed their minds without even trying to force them." Lyra smiled faintly. "I still feel nervous. What if they reject me again? What if my people never accept me fully?" Eric shook his head. "Then it does not matter. What matters is that you tried, that you showed them who you truly are. Acceptance from others is good, but it is not what defines you. You define yourself." She looked at him, her heart full of gratitude and admiration. "Eric, you have given me so much, not just your help, but your belief in me. Your words, they have changed me." He nodded. "And you have changed me too. You have reminded me that courage and hope can be found in the most unexpected places." For a while, they stood in silence, watching the colony below. The lights of the buildings began to glow softly as the evening fell. Lyra felt a sense of peace she had never known. She had faced her fears, spoken her truth, and found someone who believed in her, who saw her value, who respected and cared for her. I want to try something," she said suddenly. "Something I have never done before." "What is that?" Eric asked, curious. "I want to speak to my family tonight," she said. "I want to tell them that I am not afraid anymore, that I am strong and that I can make my own choices." Eric smiled. "I think that is a very good idea. I will be here with you." That night, they went to Lyra's family home. The elders were seated as they always were, their faces serious. Lyra took a deep breath and stepped forward. "I have something to say," she began. I am not the same person I was before. I have worked, I have led, and I have shown that I am capable. I can bear children, yes, but more than that, I can make decisions, help the colony, and be strong. I will not be afraid of rejection anymore. I am Lyra, and I am proud of who I am." The room was silent. The elder's eyes widened, and for a moment it seemed as if they did not know how to respond. But slowly, one of the older women, her mother, spoke. "You have grown," she said softly. "We see it now. You are no longer just a girl who must follow rules. You are a woman who can lead, who can make choices, who can show courage." Lyra's heart swelled. "Thank you," she whispered. I only want to help, to be respected and to be seen for who I truly am." Another elder nodded. "You have earned our respect," he said. "You have acted with courage and heart. We were wrong to doubt you." Lyra looked at Eric, her eyes shining. He smiled back, quietly proud. Together they had helped her change her world at least a little. The next few days brought more changes. People in the colony began to treat her differently, with respect and even admiration. They asked for her guidance, trusted her decisions, and slowly, fear and prejudice began to fade. Lyra felt stronger than ever, and she knew it was because she had faced her fears and had someone by her side who believed in her. One evening, as the stars appeared above the colony, Lyra and Eric walked together outside. The air was cool and the sky was clear. Lyra looked at him, her violet eyes full of gratitude and something deeper. "Eric, I cannot thank you enough," she said. "You changed my life." He shook his head. "I did not change your life. You changed your life. I only helped you see it. You are the one with courage, the one with heart, the one who faced fear and showed strength." Lyra smiled, feeling warmth in her chest. "And you will stay with me?" she asked softly. Eric looked at her, his eyes steady and calm. "I will. Not because I have to, but because I want to. You are important to me, Lyra, and I want to see your life continue to grow, to be happy, to be free." Tears filled her eyes. She had waited so long for someone to see her, to care for her, to believe in her. And now here was Eric, a human from another world, offering not just friendship, but trust, respect, and perhaps something more. The colony below them was quiet, peaceful under the stars. Lyra felt hope, courage, and love all at once. She knew her life would never be the same again. She had faced fear, rejection, and doubt, and had come through stronger, braver, and free. Eric reached for her hand. She took it without hesitation. Together they looked at the stars, two beings from different worlds, united by courage, trust, and understanding. They had changed each other, and perhaps in time they would change the world around them too. For Lyra, it was the beginning of a life she could shape for herself, full of strength, love, and hope. For Eric, it was the reward of seeing courage and heart shine where it was least expected. Together they faced the future, ready for whatever challenges and joys it would bring. And in that quiet night under alien stars, Lyra finally understood that being different was not a weakness, being brave was not a choice, it was a gift. And she would use that gift, not just for herself, but for everyone who would follow her example.